everybody. I'm Eleanor Servi from Team NDL, and welcome to Banlist discussion, I guess. This is something that I don't really see a whole lot of YouTubers do. I see Banlist predictions, I see Banlist reactions. I don't really see a whole lot of YouTubers that are actually talking about the applications of, why a certain card got hit, or just going in deep into it. So I decided to take 1 or 2 days and, look a little bit more into cards and kind of explain to you guys what do I think. Another thing is, before we'll begin, it's the thing itself. I'm not going to say bad things about those YouTubers. They're allowed to do whatever they want, but I'm just going to try to do those videos more often when Banlist will drop. So if you like those kind of videos, you want to support the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, share the video, and just let me know in the comments down below what do you think about my reaction to, not reaction, but like my discussion over this. Because this is an open discussion, so you can let me know in the comments down below what do you think. The last thing promised is the quarantine thing. The quarantine thing, I am stuck in the house for like about a week or so. I think something like that, if not a little bit more. I just don't even remember. But the reason for that is pretty obvious. I'm not going to say that as well, but I also feeling like a little bit unmotivated and also needed as a third parent. It's kind of complex, so if anybody asking like, oh, I said there are probably going to be more content things, yeah, apparently, no. I'm going to try to still finish Fusion Month on time and good quality. I'm just not promising anything because, let's be honest, the quarantine kind of like... Well, it sounds like, oh, it's good for content. It's really not after a while. It's really not. But let's jump right into it. So the ban list is going to show up on this side. After I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about cards that should have been hit, as well as cards that like people think should have been hit, but my reason why there shouldn't have been hit at all or should not be talked about. So I'm going to put my glasses because I cannot really see anything on our computer, and let us begin. So starting things off, we have Blackwing Sting the Cloak. Do I really need to go over that? Same as goes for Blow Up Bulb. Both of these are pretty obvious. They're the two strongest tuners in the game for Needle Fiber, so or Hell Fabrics, whatever. I'm going to call it Needle Fiber for easier times. But anyway, the reason for that is pretty obvious. They generate tokens. They either like generate tokens endlessly with Steam, or just it's 2 summons of a level 1 tuner that is not a token that also mill a card with Glow Up Bulb. So that's the reason why this card got hit as well. It's really, really powerful. As for the other placements, if you want guys to work with, probably going to appear somewhere, but the cards are going to be Jet Synchron and what are called Olion, depending on what you prefer. I think Olion is generally better, but Jet Synchron is kind of like the worst Glow Up Bulb, only discard a card from your hand, and depending on the deck that you're playing, like in exactly Blue Eyes, I prefer Jet Synchron because it's better for my combos in Blue Eyes. Like, I'm not saying that Blue Eyes is the meta deck, but you know what I mean. There's some decks that want, Jet Synchron, but the preferred option is probably Orion. Next up, Spiral Master Plan. Do I really need to explain this? Spirals are really, really broken with Master Plan. Should have been banned long while back, but apparently it's only a good time to hit it right now. So, yeah. Next up, Lunalight Tiger. Lunalight Tiger is pretty obvious. Just hitting the so-called annoying rank 4 engine of Lunalights. And for anybody's surprise, this is probably going to be the only hit for Lunalights. And for anybody who's asking, like, but it's probably going to kill the Fusion deck, and it's not going to... No, it's not going to kill the Fusion variant. Tiger is not really used in the Fusion variant that much. It's used for some of the effects if you want to end up with a stronger board, but it's like, if you're going for the OTK, Tiger is not really that important. It's needed maybe at 1 revive to better your strategy, and that's it. But Tiger is like, for the Lunalight, pure Lunalight Fusion, not really. It's not really that necessary. The last one, which I think a lot of people are asking themselves, is Destrudo, and I'm going to explain Destrudo. Destrudo is just a card that is so easy to use. You can just have 3 of it in your deck and just have it in your hand and discard it or whatever, because I've seen people doing that. It's also really good to be with Dragon Ravine. It's kind of an indirect hit for, what are called? Oh, the Guard Dragon engine. which is kind of that, as well as some degenerate combos. Destroyer is really, really powerful. A lot of people like thinking like, oh, but Destroyer that powerful? Yes, it is. Destroyer is very powerful. It's because of the Guard Dragon engine. I'm not saying that it's ideal. I do think that there should have been better options, but like the Guard Dragon engine also going to receive a hit in the future because of Red Ice Darkness Metal getting an errata, but I do understand why they did that. Destrudo is just good in other decks as well, so, you know, it's kind of obvious. It's a card that's like, it's allowing so many combos. It's another card that's like, oh, it's pretty easy to summon this and just have Needle Fiber, so I guess that makes sense. I don't think I need to explain so much about the limited dangers. The 2 dangers hits, pretty obvious. The engine itself was going to be dual, hit until it's kind of like unplayable because it was way too powerful when it was at full power. I don't think that was the correct thing to do with them, but right now if you want to play dangers, you need to play one of each of the good ones, as well as like maybe Mothman and other things if you want to play dangers. So you probably want to maybe even play one of each, just like Third World Yu-Gi-Oh! Explained in his danger video, which you're more than welcome to check that as well on his own channel. But certainly, though, yeah, it's kind of obvious. ABC Dragon Buster. This is a big one that all people ask why this card got hit. I will explain you. Because of Union Carrier and the card that coming out in Eternity Code, those two specifically are kind of really strong Union-related cards, as well as the Mechanized Madness structure deck that's also kind of giving the deck really a whole lot of power. I don't think that was the correct hit for them, because I don't think ABCs are that powerful, but I do understand why they did that. It's still, I don't think it was the correct hit, but Union Carrier is pretty much the biggest reason. The new link for Unions, it's pretty much the obvious reason. TG Hybrid Librarian is coming up next. TG Hybrid Librarian is one of those I'm kind of like, meh, because, how should I say this? Synchros are not really that good. Like, I played with Synchros. I do understand when people are like saying, like, oh, Synchros could be broken with draws, but, like, it's kind of a weird thing to explain. Because, in one hand, people think, like, oh, Junk Speeder is just like, you know, you play Junk Speeder, if they hit with hand traps, they're dead. Not necessarily, but, Synchro just generally is like, it's not really that good. Like, the Junk Speeder hit, if you hit it with a hand trap, is not going to end the deck, because I have a list that I made with help a little bit, which is kind of withstand the loss of Junk Speeder if you hit it. But, like, I would say this, TG Hyper Librarian is not really that powerful, and, like, hitting the deck itself is also, like, why? You just got it off the list. Like, let it be for a while. If it's a problem, hit it. You don't even let us enjoy Synchros. It's kind of that ridiculous. I don't think Synchros are going to be even that powerful. So, yeah, I don't really see that one. Trishula, obvious, hand loops, totally awesome. I think it's obvious. There's so many cards that, like, either in Necros or stuff like that, they're just putting them in the graveyard like 3 or 4 times to just get recycling. I think it's because also people are, like, finding a way to kind of bring it really, really easily with, like, 2 Bahamut Sharks on the board. Like, I think they're also kind of, like, in a hit for the water deck, because I think the water deck can spam up monsters like crazy now and, like, bring up, like, 3 to 4 Bahamut Sharks, for 3 Bahamut Sharks if they want to, and then just spam 3 Toads, or how that works. And because of that, they're kind of, like, want to hit that. So it's kind of an indirect hit for that. As well as, like, yeah, I think Toad should be at 1. I think Toad is very much fair. It's one of those cards that, like, I asked myself for a while why this is not at 1. Trident. Doesn't matter. Like, it's at 1 now. The new Zodiac. The old Zodiac Exceeds that pops. It's good for Beast Warriors, I guess, but it really doesn't matter. If we don't got Broad Bowl at least at 1 again, for decks like Lunalight and stuff like that, that are Beast Warrior or, you know, Fire Fist, it really doesn't matter. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, we could play this in Fire Fist. It doesn't matter. It's really not that big of a deal. Next up is Instant Fusion. Not need to explain that. Instant Fusion is a card that should have been on the ban list, even the last ban list, but right now it's even more broken, so it makes sense that it's on 1. It's going to be Saki. Mind Control. Mind Control is also a really, really good card to break boards going second. Even better sometimes. Like, it's like, the problem with Mind Control is, like, there are way too much going second cards, and they probably don't want to hit Dark Ruler no more. as well as Super Poly, which we'll get to that why, as well as I think for some reason Mystic Mine. But yeah, Mind Control is probably the best hit after that to kind of dwindle or like at least limit the number of going second cards. So yeah, it's kind of obvious. Zodiac Barrage, I don't see why. Like Zodiacs are not going to return anyway, so like what's the reason for that? I really don't see the reason for hitting Zodiac Barrage if already this card is like Rat is at 1, Dryden is 1. This is a big threat that you need to hit Zodiac Barrage. Maybe it's because Zodiac Barrage is kind of like a nice popping card to start things off, I guess, in certain decks, so I could see that, but I still think it's kind of a weird choice. Yeah. That's pretty much it. For the semi-limits and unlimited, I'm going to do them all together because they're kind of like not matter or really easy to understand. Malicious, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor, or should I say just Widow Anchor, is also kind of obvious. Sky Striker not going to do anything. This card can also come back to 3. I think it should have even come back to 3 on this list. There is not really reason to be afraid of this. Deep Sea Diva, because they're trying to push the new Water Deep Sea Diva archetype. Necrophase, yeah, it should have been out of the list long while ago. Spiral Gear Drone. Spiral are not going to do anything right now. Like, they could summon... Oh, we could summon the big Spiral scary Link monster, which is Double Helix, but it doesn't really going to do anything. It's kind of okay now. And Pot of Avarice, because it doesn't really do anything by itself, so it's pretty obvious. So yeah, that's pretty much the ban list itself. Now let's move on cards that I think should have been on the list, and cards that people think should be on the list, but should not, really. So let's get going about that. So first off, for cards that I think should have been on the list, which probably going to be here right now. Mist Valley Thunderbird. Why this card is not on the list? Like, I'm really asking myself, Kanama, what are you thinking? I get it, like, Lunalight got hit, the big deck that can use this got hit, but Raider Raptor can still summon this, and by God, guys, like, just because it's Raider Raptors doesn't mean the deck is weak. We still got Force Tricks, we still got Wise Trick, we still got all the kind of, like, special summon spam that Raider Raptors can do. Like, why the heck Thunderbird is not on the list? Like, why? Just explain it to me, Konami. What is your explanation? I get it's probably going to be a list that's like, it was like, oh, because of the quarantine, we just make it like this and just gone home, but like, it's one of those obvious cards that you should have had. Secondly, Mystic Mine. Nobody liked this card. It's been here long enough. It's a super rare, for God's sake. Everybody already got their copy. Like, you're not going to sell more of this. Even in the so-called Megaton, why is this here still in the game? Should have been on 1 long time back. Like, on 1. If you really want to push it a little bit, and maybe still it should be on 2. But still, though, this card should have been hit in some sort of way. My apologies. But the card itself is like, it's... Why? Why? Explain to me. Why? What is your reason? Next up is cards that I think should have been, like, you know, kind of... off the list, I guess. Maybe there are 1 or 2 that should have been banned, but I'm just following the list that I made. Necros, Unicorn, and Monarch Pantheism. Yeah. Those 2 cards should have been off the list, like, to 2 a long while back. Like, Necros is not going to do anything. Now we told at 1, the so-called Monarch thing that they're using, Karaz, I think, to pop him and send 8 cards from each player's extra deck to the graveyard is not really going to be that beneficial, as well as, like, not really a whole lot of Monarch players use that combo anymore, because it's not really that consistent. They'd rather use, I think the name is Vanity's Ruler, so yeah, it's, nobody used that. Why Unicorn cannot come back to 2? Give the deck a little bit more power. Pantheism should have been long while back on 2. At the very least tried. Like, why is this card still at 1? Even extra deck Monarchs are not a thing, even in full power. Why is this card not here yet? Maxi, kind of like, I'm going to say Maxi because I think Maxi should have been a good hand trap to bring back, but I guess they don't want that. Still, I kind of respect that, but I do think I should mention Maxi. A card should have been returned at least to 1 to start seeing how that performs, and then see if there is a problem. Yeah, that's also a thing. Now we'll move on to the Pendulum package. Yeah, I know that sounds weird. Pendulum package. There are some cards that I think should have been moved down to up to 1, just because they're not really that a big deal, even though there are some people who are going to call me insane. But first one of them is Double Iris, second one is Astrograph, and third one is Skull Corbat Joker. I do think all of these cards can be moved back to 1. OCG have them all into 1, and still I think have Electromite, and they don't do anything. People will just move to the Endymion list. And Electromite is banned here. I don't see any reason to keep those cards at banned for any longer. Move them to limited and see how they perform. I don't think it's going to be a problem, because the card that made them broken is now gone. Like, why is these cards are not here yet? Like, maybe some people are going to call me insane, but like, these cards are not really that powerful anymore. For Pendulums, you have so many better options. With the Endymion package, with Selene, with some other stuff, like Magician Pendulum is not really that strong, so should have been back on the list, off the list, like very long time back for like 1, even with Electromite at 1, but right now there's no excuse. Electromite is banned, nobody's going to use Wavering Eyes to search Astrograph, and even if you want Astrograph still stay on the band, okay, Skull Crobat and Double Iris should not be on the list. I don't think they should be on the list. Next up is Ignister Dracoslayer. At 1, it doesn't do anything. It's a card that's like lost its kind of capabilities to be played, so it's also a card that I think should move back to 2. It's a card that's like, why is this not like why is this card is not on off the list? I don't understand. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Next up is the 2 cards that I do think should have got hit, but they didn't because I think new cards and stuff like that. It's LP and the Buster Blader Tuner. The Buster Blader Tuner getting a reprint in Battle of Legends, I don't understand why you didn't hit it at all, like ban it, because it's not a card that like is high rarity, we can get a lot of money. It's a card that's like, shouldn't been on the, like here, like Union Carrier make this card broken. Ban it. Like, I get it hit Buster Blader, but it's Buster Blader. It's not like a strong deck. Ban this card already. I get it, maybe they're doing it because of the so-called new Link monster for Buster Blader, but still, ban the card. It's not going to hit the decks that much. Like, the deck itself only like want the Light Tuner the most. The rest of them are like, okay, but this one's like one of those cards like, why is it still in the game? Seriously though, why is it there? As for LP, I also think it should have been banned, but I think like Destrudo is kind of like a hit for it, as well as like Red Dice Darkness Metal is kind of also a hit to it in a way, if it's going to be a hard once per turn for us as well. So I guess LP is bad for the game, don't get me wrong, but it's not insanely bad as it used to be. As for now, for cards that people think should have got hit, but I do have an explanation for them. First off, we have the Invoked and Shadow cards. I do understand that Invoked and Shadow should have get hit by a lot of people like they think. I do understand that Winder should have been hit for Shadows. Alistair for Invoked, I think it's way too much. For Invoked, I think it should have been Magical Meltdown. But the reason they didn't hit those cards, in my opinion, is very simple. The deck is new. Also, they didn't get enough money for Invocation that they can milk us for. Like, they can get more money for Invocation. Why not do that? It's kind of understandable. Why not do that? So, yeah, it's Invocation is going to be still a card that, you know, they want to get us to buy again. So, yeah. Next up is Lunalight cards. More Lunalight cards. I think I explained that already. With Tiger gone, I think like the big problem with Lunalight is gone for like being like an engine as their own pure variant. I don't think they're a problem. It's pretty okay to leave them as their har. Then we have the Super Poly, which is also a big thing. I'm going to explain to you guys this. Yes, Super Poly is overpowered, but unlike Mind Control, Super Poly is dependent on your opponent's board, the cards that you have in your extra deck that you prepared in advance, and the format. Because there are some formats that are like, yes, they don't really have a lot of dark monsters, or monsters of a certain type to fusion with Super Poly. So Super Poly is very powerful. It's break boards right now, I guess, with, what are called? Invoked Shadows, but it's not really that insane to be banned yet. It's a card that's like, I think it's a necessary evil at 3. It's breaking boards is one of the best cards going second. And just generally, it's like I said, you need to commit placing your extra deck sometimes, and some decks cannot do that. So it's not like Mind Control that you can put it and just be done with it. No, Super Poly, you need to commit side place. It's okay to leave this card. As for Dino cards, yeah, I do think Dinos should be hit pretty soon, but again, they're trying to sell the new Dino card in, the next set, so why would they hit those? Pretty obvious that they will not do that for marketing. So, yeah, Eternity Code is around the corner for some of you. For some of you, it's going to be delayed. But, yeah, Eternity Code is around the corner, so why do you think they're going to hit those? They're not, so pretty obvious. Then we have Prime Keyboy, which is Pranker Tops and Red Reboot. Those two cards are not going to come back, even if you guys want them for a while, because Storm is a thing now. Lightning Storm is a thing now. They want people to buy Lightning Storm and Ignition Assault. Why do you think they returned them? Like, you're going to wait at least a few more months, just like it was with Cold by the Grave, when it's like, I don't understand Cold by the Grave, really, but you know what I mean. It's like, it's going to take a little bit of a while, and then they're going to bring them back. And the last one, Artifact Scythe. Same with Invocation, they're going to milk you or try to get from you more money for Artifact Sanctum that are printing the next Battle of Legends again. Because the second time that Artifact Sanctum got reprinted in Battle of Legends. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I go over every single card that I think should have got hit, or, cards that you guys think should have been hit, but I think I'm hoping I explained myself pretty thoroughly. If you have any comments or tip about that, how I should do that in the future, let me know. It's probably going to be a longer video than what I prepared to, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it anyway. So, yeah, see you guys next time. Hope you're doing good in the quarantine, and remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe, especially now. I'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye.